right, and we are back at it once again. Greetings, fanboys and fangirls. So, just as a quick recap, I'll show you what we've done here. We, of course, did the giant subterranean level of Gringotts, and it is a beauty, and it is multi-tiered and huge and incredibly stable. So, all really, really pleasant surprises. I kind of look at this as kind of a stopgap episode, I guess, in terms of our live build. And this is the one where you're going to see things built that aren't necessarily a part of the main Gringotts bank. If my voice sounds a little rough or I have to clear my throat a lot, I guess it's ragweed season, apparently. So I guess it's sort of affecting some people's allergies, maybe. So if I sound a little off, that's got to be it. Anyway, the point that we're at in the book, now that the subterranean level is done, is it's time to do the dragon. And so that's going to be great. And also, for those of us that got the gift with purchase from the Lego store, it's also time to get that done because that goes in the subterranean area. So I decided that this would be a good kind of part to do both, especially because with the dragon, it's only 2 bags, I think. At least I'm pretty sure that that's the idea anyway. So, with that out of the way, let's begin. All right, we'll start with bag 11 right here. You can see it's a lot of white pieces because, of course, the dragon is, so it makes a lot of sense. Such an epic moment in the book and in the movies when the dragon busts out. I've always loved that part. So it's great that Lego has this build, and it's so different, of course, than building a structure, a building, or whatever. And they have this build right here at this like midpoint where you've built that huge subterranean area. But, you know, you've yet to start on the actual Gringotts bank itself. So I'm definitely excited about this because they're always doing pacing things to break things up, which I really do appreciate. So let's get right with it. All right. It always fascinates me to see Lego do, I guess, organic creatures that are just brick built. And it's something that they're getting incredibly good at in the last few years. It seems like they're getting better and better with that kind of thing. Especially when it comes to dragons. It seems like Lego, it seems like the #1 animal that they tend to build in Lego is dragons. So it just seems like that the designers are always finding new ways to approach building dragons and things of that nature. So it's always interesting to me to see what they're going to do with each new iteration on like the dragon model and how that's going to look, how that's going to work. And this definitely uses some pieces that I don't see very often. So I think it's going to be fascinating to see how some of this stuff comes together. Oh, not that one. There we go. And I'm really curious as to the scale of the dragon and what it's going to be like once it's completely together. Like, I just wonder if it's going to be extremely sizable or, you know, if it's going to be more contained. I'm just not really sure. That's something that I didn't really get a good feel for in looking at the store display or anything like that. So I guess we'll find out. Of course, you know me, I always like to save some surprise for the build itself. No use in being an expert on it before you actually do it. It kind of robs you of some of the joy of it, I think. At least that's my feeling on it. All right. I always do appreciate their variants in colors when you're actually doing the build process, because that goes a long way in making things a little easier, a little more explanatory as you're building. Clearly we're doing I guess some of the, either the neck or the abdomen here. Can't really be sure just yet. Oh, we already have some stickering that needs to happen. Interesting. I didn't even know there would be stickers for the actual dragon. Goody. Yeah. Oh, stickers. Oh, I see now. Yeah, obviously that's dragon flesh right there. This might be it, though. This might be the only sticker there is, so I can't be too mad. I can handle it if that's all they're going to do. Usually I pick one corner of the brick and try to match it up like that and just hope that the rest of it works out the way that it's supposed to. That was almost right, what I did, but I didn't go down enough. It really makes me wish that the stickers were more even-keeled about their coverage. It's always a problem for me, never knowing exactly how to center it up just right. And I definitely have some hard decisions to make later with the actual Gringotts Bank, because my understanding is that there are some signs that could look a little rough when you start connecting some of the signage, like the words on the signs. At least that's my understanding. And so I'm always a little nervous about that, because Lego is bad for leaving gaps in signs and words that should be connected. I've seen some people actually cut the stickers down lately in order to alleviate that a little bit. And I'm always very conflicted about that. I can't be the only one, I'm sure, because how much of it is me altering the set and how much of it is keeping the original intent from the designers, just stuff that I probably shouldn't even worry about, but I don't know. I think I'll see how I feel when I start matching it up and see if it really bothers me that much, because it may not even be much of a thing. But if it says Grin and then like 2 inches, then Gotts, I think that could be an issue. It's like, huh? What do they mean by that? Maybe the guy who started Gringotts Bank was just really happy. He just couldn't stop grinning. Sorry, it's a horrible joke. I think I did better on this one. That's how it is with these stickers, I swear. It's like the placement. You'll have one you'll labor over and try to get it just right, and it just can't turn out. And then the other one you'll get it first try exactly right. But I think that looks fairly even. All right, hopefully that's the only stickered portion. Okay. Well, get it in the right spot here. There we go. Almost. Yeah, that one was kind of an awkward fit for whatever reason. I don't know. It's strange. I guess that'll probably get reinforced. I imagine some kind of ball bearings will go in here. There we go. And this is looking very, very full of studs at this point. I'm sure that will change as we add kind of outside portions to it. But for now, it's definitely the most studded looking kind of attachment points you could have for a dragon, I would think. All right, got a big gray flat. Well, not a flat. A 2x6. There we go. And then we have some of these. There we go. Okay. I love all the little methods they're using here to achieve some of these slopes and some of these curves on this dragon to make it look as organic as possible. Really cool. Just little kind of bumps and little uneven pockets of flesh here and there on the dragon. I always thought ILM or whoever happened to do those shots in the Deathly Hallows did a great job on the CGI for the dragon. I always thought it looked really good. It's kind of sad to see some movies now that have CGI that doesn't look as good as 10 years ago or whatever. And I think it's because the sheer volume of movies that are utilizing CGI, my understanding is that the studios can't keep up. And there's all these little effects houses that can't quite get it done, which is apparently what happened with something like The Flash, which, although I really enjoyed the movie for what it was, the effects, you know, were often atrocious. I think there was maybe a quote from some person in the industry, and they said if the effect shots in The Flash look like they were done in a week, it's probably because they were. And that really stuck with me. I thought, oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah, that's what happened. Oh, almost forgot a piece. There we go. I'm assuming something's going to clip on right there. Maybe a part of the head. Maybe a part of the head. I don't know. We'll find out together. I kind of feel like I'm building an Indominus Rex right now from the Jurassic World movies. I think it's because of the colors. I think it's definitely the colors putting me in that mindset. The Indominus is all white and scaly, and it's kind of dragon-like, so. You know, I'm always like threatening to tip over into like being a Jurassic Park Lego completist. But then I always like have a moment of realization where I realize there's no way I have the space or the money to dedicate to it, and then I back off like every single time. I don't know why I do it, but it happens to me like every 3 years or so. I suddenly say, oh, I need to build an entire Jurassic Park out of Lego. It just hits me completely randomly. And then after a month or two of like looking into it and seriously planning it out, I'm like, nah, I can't do that. I hope this last time that I finally learned my lesson and thought, okay, yeah, I'm not going to be able to make that happen. At least I hope. Oh, this even more so reminds me of the Indominus because we have some little spiky protrusions here. Of course, on the dragon, it makes more sense. I really like how this is turning out. I like the combination of the sticker spikes, and then you transition to the 3D, like full-on realized spikes. Oh, I see. Okay. So instead of a head, this was used for like a dorsal spike, like right there. Interesting. I'm not really sure what that piece was originally meant to be. I can tell you not a dragon spike of some sort, but I'm not 100% sure what it is. Oh, okay. I see. So they have us using some of the chain pieces here. And this should be really good because in the movie, of course, the dragon is chained up before it's freed. And that's part of kind of the grandeur of that scene. It's kind of a breakout. There we go. So I've got my 2 chains hooked up. Then add a little round 1x2. There we go. We gotta add a little grabber onto that if I can find it. Ah, there it is. So that goes on the end. Then you've got this piece. Gotta move my chain a little bit. Just kind of getting it in the way. There we go. Then we're covering it over. There we go. Oh, I see. So now you take the chains and cross it back over, plug it in. One there, and then one there. Yeah, this should be a really nice movie accurate way to do this. You look at how the chains are layered in the movie. Then of course, we add more spiky spikes. Well, if I can get the right angle. There they are. I'm just looking forward, to completing this because it's going to be so different from the rest of it. And I think that's where the engineers have really done something nice here, is they found this set that they can incorporate all these different kinds of builds. And this set had all sorts of different designers. It was like a who's who all-star team of Lego designers that put this together. I definitely see why, because I bet they took the lead in different sections because of how different this thing is in different sections. So you probably had somebody who was kind of looking over the subterranean area, the mines, where the vaults are, and then you probably had somebody else who was looking over things for the dragon. So I think it was a who's who, kind of collection of some of their very best and brightest that they had to make this a really special set. I think for a little while, Lego was experimenting with being a little lazy with the big $400, $500 sets and just seeing what people would tolerate. And I think they had a few minor flops that probably helped to make this set as special as it is, because probably if not for those minor flops, I think that they wouldn't have understood how important it was to really purposely design all of this. Purposefully, I guess is the right word. Okay, now get this here. Okay. This is certainly interesting. I think I'm building the where the wings are going to plug into. I could totally be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that that's what I'm building, because it has that kind of Technic pin piece, and usually that's how Lego tends to connect their dragon wings. One dragon that I think people forget about a lot, one Lego dragon, is the Smaug dragon from the Lego Hobbit stuff. I really liked that dragon. Now, it was more of a, big fig kind of pre-molded thing. You didn't really build it except for snapping the wings in. But I've always been really fond of the way that that looked and just that set in general. Smaug's hoard of treasure. I always wish they would have come out with bags of gold-plated pieces that you could have just kept filling in, to make it this massive hoard of treasure as Smaug sleeps in the books, in the movie. In the book, I mean. Yeah, sure enough, I can definitely see that, because then you have the articulation at that joint, and then you have a ball bearing, I think, where part of that's going to go into. Might be legs, though. Might be legs. All right, then we're going to duplicate that on the other side, just going the other way. go. You know, the good thing about this is that for a live stream, I think this is going to work really well, because you're basically going to get pretty instant gratification, I suppose. You know, you won't have to wait long to see a finished piece. And with these giant mega sets, I think the trouble when you're live streaming is often that it doesn't look like anything for quite a while. And thankfully, with Iron Belly, with the dragon, it's going to be a little more instantaneous. There won't be as much of this, you know, massive wait time to see it actually become something. And that is working for me too, you know, to where I actually feel like I can see progress being made really quickly, which is always a nice feeling when you're doing a massive build like this. And it's the thing that keeps you from going nuts when you're building, is that you have, you know, kind of a reprieve from that long form kind of building. Because like anything, I think you can overdo it with Lego. And like I think some of these big Lego YouTubers, which I'm certainly not, but some of these guys, I think what they do is they push through to try to get stuff built as fast as possible so they can get a review up and they can, you know, do whatever they have to. I think some of the joy kind of just dissipates with that. I think if you've not set aside the right time, if you've not set aside the right atmosphere, I think that you can find yourself in kind of a miserable spot trying to build these things. Who wants to be miserable building a Lego set? Should be the opposite experience. There we go. We have some same on both sides now. Those are adjacent. Okay, now looks like we're starting to build some of the massive feet. So, of course, we don't have many pieces left for this bag, so I imagine this will be the last full-on thing that we build. Now, this is interesting. Not what I expected on the method that they're using here. So you're going to take this pin, then push this into the middle, then push it through. So this should be, yeah, okay, there we go. So that goes on through, and that pins the ball bearing in, which is something I'm not too familiar with usually doing with these sets. Okay, got it, and got it. Forgot a piece. Better to realize it now. There we go. Aha. It's a little pyramid. Lego's already done a micro scale pyramid set. Okay. Oh, that's not quite right. Try that again. There we go. Yeah, this part's a little tricky. You have to have things angled just right. Here's these funny little pieces they use, which I swear I see these more and more often. I think the designers really lean on these lately for some of the more obscure shapes that they need. Okay, so that fits in there. We have a chain piece that goes into the anti-stud. Then we turn it over, and this simulates the shackles that they have the dragon pinned down with in the movie. We have the giant talons here, claws. Really love these pieces. Yeah, that really sells it right there. I love that. And we can go ahead and attach that using the ball bearing. looks like, yeah. So these were for legs, for feet. There we go. Oh, I was just experimenting to see how much you could, oh, I see. Yeah, that's not meant to bend any more than just this. But eventually, we're going to use this part to hinge it down, and then you can articulate it. Well, I'm very satisfied with that amount of articulation there for the leg. For now, we're just going to have them flop over while we build the other one, which sure enough is all the pieces we have for this bag. Is just this other foot, and then it's time to move on. And who knows what we go to right after. Okay, it's faster this time because I'm just building the same thing in a mirror image. So this shouldn't take but a second. Hopefully I know what I'm doing a little bit more this time. Won't be quite as surprised by different things. All right, so we got this and a little white piece. Got that and the shield. Guess these shields originated in Nexonites, maybe, which is a largely forgotten Lego theme that I really love. But I know I'm just a few years away from that generation of kids, some of them transitioning to adult fans of Lego. And that when that happens, wait and see. There'll be some love and some nostalgia for Lego Nexonites, because it was such a heavily pushed theme and one that I really enjoyed. And that was as an adult, enjoying what they were doing. Wished I'd had, you know, unlimited room and money. I could have really built up my Nexonite stuff. And this last talon should do it. Yep. All right. So now, I need to turn this guy over. Get this over here. The ball bearing attachment again. There we go. Really nice tight connection. And now, he's got legs, but the wings and the head just aren't there yet. Very minuscule amount of pieces left from that particular bag. Almost nothing at all, really. To complete the dragon, at least I think it's to complete the dragon, we have bag number 12. Now, this won't be the only piece that we'll be utilizing, though, because my understanding is that I will need this for the wings. So we'll have some fabric attachments, which at first I was not 100% sure of what this was, but now I get it. Yep. Big old giant pieces of really high quality cloth, by the way. They kind of feels like the microfiber cloth you would clean glasses with. So you know that that's, you know, a high thread count for something like that. You can see that it's a lot of little pieces here. So I think that we're mostly building the support structure for the wings of the dragon. So that should be interesting. Just remember that when you're getting your pieces out, it's always a good idea to keep them in the piles according to bag, because that will help you find those like pieces. I've tried many different methods, including sorting by color, which I used to do, which is sometimes necessary for sets you buy used. And you can see this impressive printing going on here on both sides. That is a unique print. So I'm really liking that. All right, let's do it. Like I said, so many little pieces. Not sure what that means in terms of length of time that we're going to have to build this thing out. It could be more of a quick build. It could be less of a quick build. We'll just have to see. You just never know when you empty a bag out with a bunch of little pieces. You never really know exactly what that equates to. This might not be the right one. Let's see. Well, it certainly looks like the right piece. Oh, I see. I missed a little white booster for this thing. There we go. Now that will do it. Then it'll fit snug right there. So this looks like, yeah, I'm making the tail here. So I will actually repeat this little section. Yeah, this will help exhaust some of these tiny little pieces, because I'm going to do this 4 times and then just link them together to join onto the tail. So that's fun anyway. I love little pieces like this, little builds. So I'm going to do these 3 simultaneously this time, now that I realize it. So this one, and this one. And then we're going to the top with a little 1 stud. And that will be to attach the spikes coming from the tail. I just love getting little builds like this, because even though it's very substantial, I mean, compared to the rest of it, you would say that it's a little build. So much so that this would be, you know, its own set, its own $20 or so set, if you were to sell it separately. So I always kind of like sets that have little additional builds with them like this. It makes it feel more substantive. Maybe I can say it right here in a minute. Substantial. Could be worse. I was watching a YouTuber earlier. They just uploaded a video today, and they claimed that the date was November 18th. So I could be in the wrong month. I guess that's something I could definitely do. I mean, so it could be worse. All right, let's attach these links together here. There we go. Something really satisfying about getting these articulated sections all joined together. And then the lead on the tail there. Very nice. And that gives us a little tiny build now for the end of the tail, which is kind of taking this ball bearing and attaching a white cone, and then attaching the long kind of tail piece. There we go. And that really does a lot to simulate the spindly nature of the end of a dragon's tail, and you can see how much articulation you get. It's starting to look like Studio Ghibli around here. Let's see. Come on. There we go. Oh yeah. Now I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. So now that that's attached, let's see what other direction they have me going now. Okay. Yeah, we're straight to the head. Simple assembly here. We just have the lower jaw. We're gonna, there we go. It just snaps in. It has 2 configurations, open, close. That's it. You can hear that satisfying little snap, that click. And it looks like we're actually gonna add some tendrils to the back of the head here, because you have some really nice openings on the back that allows you to do some things. So let's get those in. Kind of gives it more of a regality, I guess. Very nice. Okay. Now, add more of these teeth pieces to kind of give it some more spikes. At least that's what I refer to them as. I'm used to them being used for teeth in numerous sets I've built. Come on. There we go. Okay. And then we have a ball bearing piece, which I'm sure will be used to attach this head. I have no idea why they wouldn't have had me attach this black piece earlier, because now it's difficult with all the things sticking out of this. Come on. Yeah, it's definitely the right piece. There we go. Just had to get the right angle. Okay. Oh, this is cool. So you do a little mini build for the fire coming out of its mouth. So this is truly a fire-breathing dragon. Very nice. So let's get this. I like this little rig they've come up with, and particularly this trans smoke element, or flame element with smoke, I guess, because it, you know, kind of goes into a kind of a smoky color. It starts at orange. So I like that a lot. See, that will allow us to angle it in the mouth. And of course it's removable, so. Now the cool part is that you will open the mouth and you'll then thread it through the back, and you can see that little hole right there. It's just gonna plug in, and you can push it in to kind of hide, and it ends up looking fairly natural at the right angles. So yeah, I think that's a win for sure. So we can go ahead and attach that head right here. I kind of thought they would save the head for the last thing, but little did I know, I guess. Oh, there we go. Okay, now I'm really seeing it. And I'm also getting a good feel for the scale, which is right on. Let me give us a little more context here on the side. This is the first dragon made for Lego Harry Potter was Norbert, and that was for the Hagrid's Hut in 2001. So it's a long history of Harry Potter dragons. All right, so for this one, we are indeed building one of the wings. So I'm sure that that's where, you know, the vast majority of these tiny little pieces will go into building a frame that then we'll hook the wings into. So no time like the present. Let's get started. So we hook this in. And this will, I'm sure, be a whole thing of Technic connections and threading this through that and you name it. So yeah, I once again, and I say this often in these builds, I once again want to impress just how important it is that I don't live anywhere near a Lego store. This is very important to my marriage. So that my marriage can live to fight another day. Oh, I see. Now we plug it in. There we go. Okie dokie. If you hear anything strange, I think my stomach is growling. I just ate like a little while ago. Maybe it's indigestion. I don't know. I have no idea. Just like every now and then there's just this like lurching noise coming from my stomach. Okay, and this part I will actually build twice, so I'm gonna stop right there so that I can catch up with another piece. All sorts of little tiny connectors and this and that, and I just don't know. It's hard to say how it's all going to come into play, I guess. All sorts of little quirks here. Ah, I see. Okay, so what we were really building here, what we were really building here was like a hub for the different claws and supports that kind of come out. We're going to thread that cloth onto. At least I think that's what they're getting at. But we'll see. We'll find out. Okay. Whoa. Yeah, that wouldn't have been good. Okay. Let's try that again. Okay. We got that. I'll set that over to the side for a second before I roll everything off the table. Okay. Plop this one through. It's funny in the directions, this, yeah, kind of looks like a different piece. It's like it's more curved. I don't know, I'm sure that's just the angle because I don't think there's any other kind of claw pieces except these. All right, moving on. So this we're actually gonna build out. Okay. And this is where a lot of those little pieces come into play, is building this little support column right here. Kind of looks exactly like that, like a Roman column of some sort. It's funny. There we go. I guess you can misalign these. Yeah, I knew something was off with it. That's weird. I wouldn't have even thought that was possible. Okay, so with this, then I'm going to hook that to the big structure, and this is the other support beam, claw thingy. Comes out this way. And I had a little error clearly because this claw should actually be attached to the other way. I must have not been paying attention earlier. Okay, there we go. So I have a feeling that this is pretty close. It's not too far off from being able to put one of the wings on. So we'll go ahead and add this. And I know that this wing has to be coming to an end pretty quick because it's looking like I've halved the pieces down there. So of course we know that it's just going to be half of them will be used. And here's another part waster. It's making this long section out of just repeated use of these little guys. These kind of look like little things you'd stick in on a battleship. At least that's what I've always thought of these pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So just plug that in. Then we have one of the bigger pieces. There we go. Okay, so this one's ready to be attached now. And the directions get a little screwy here. It's kind of hard to tell what angle things should be at. Let me Look at this again. There we go. Okay, I think that'll work better now. No, let's see. Yeah, that's got to be right. So this kind of gives you some, I think, wing articulation here. I guess that fabric will probably fold and then stretch depending on what you do. And then I think this is the last little piece that we add to this before we start building the other wing. At least I think that's how it goes. Because like I said, I'm confident that I've halved these pieces down. You know, the dragon would be a breeze of a build if it wasn't for the wing structures being a little more complex than you might initially think. I mean, it really would be. It'd be just the easiest thing. Okay, so just keep adding. We have some more articulation in the way of those two connectors. All right. Okay, and we have even more of a functional wing here that can really do a lot. This might be the best design I've seen Lego do when it comes to a wing like this. Yeah, it's got to be the best design, as a matter of fact. Very impressed. It's no wonder that was so complex. Okay, now this is where we add one of the fabric wings right here. And nope, they don't come with any extras. You just get the two. Okay, so this pretty much looks like you're just going to align the holes. Kind of there's little openings in the fabric where everything goes. So it's really just you're matching it up, honestly. You know, I've seen Lego accomplish wings for dragons in all sorts of ways, with all sorts of materials. But, you know, maybe just fabric is really the best, because I've seen them do like plasticky wings, and I never have tremendous confidence in that material that it's going to like stand the test of time. Like I can see it easily getting damaged or something. See, I messed up. I can see it easily getting damaged or kind of falling apart with usage. So I think that this fabric, on the other hand, when you fold this, you don't have to worry about deterioration like you would with rubber or something like that. So let's get this on here. We just have some little reinforcements here that we are going to thread through. There we go. It just causes it to be flush. These are, of course, important for the stability of the thing. All right. That popped on. And then we have another little factoid in the book. It says the Ukrainian iron belly dragon's wings can fold in when it's not flying around your house. So what it means is, look at that. See, it's all thanks to it being the fabric wings that you're able to get a pretty seamless fold right there. You can see like that. And it actually looks a lot better than I thought it would. That's really nice, actually. It looks really good and natural when it's like this, if you ignore the funny Lego pieces there, the little crosses for no reason. If you can ignore that, then it sells it, I think, really well. Just a really nice natural movement right there. Really, really cool. I think that's going to help the dragon really stand out, the iron belly. Okay. So time to attach this wing. Let's see what we got here. Ah, nice. So you can get an idea of the scale right there. Beautiful. Beautiful. And also, I guess I should make more of an effort to balance. Yeah, you can definitely balance it so that I can give it its dignity and it can actually stand. And they've done a good job weighting the feet down to where, you know, it's not too unstable. So that's not bad at all. All right, well, we just have to take these remaining pieces to build the other support for the wing, and we'll be done with the dragon. So all is exciting. Can't wait to see this in its full glory, full size. We'll get out a minifig or something and check it out in terms of scale. Really looking forward to it. There we go. Hopefully I can do this a little faster for this wing, since I was a little slow before. I always think that it helps when you've cleared out a bunch of pieces, because I just think that just the physical act of like finding the piece can slow you down quite a bit. It always feels cumbersome when you're trying to sort through a bunch of pieces to find something. And this way, as I whittle down to basically no pieces left, it's not that much of a problem, honestly. Very easy to find things, very simple. Okay. Very good. All right, so this one will go here, just like before. And this one goes up there. All right, we're ready to roll on. Again, we'll build this out. It looks like the old column. Okay. There we go. Okay, got that all aligned. Okay, looking good. See my piece count beginning to dwindle here, which is good, as we're making progress. 2, 3, and 4. I'm starting to see some of that articulation build up in the wing. Very few pieces left now. Very few, as a matter of fact. All right, that goes there. Looking good. So now all that remains, sure enough, that was quite a bit faster. All that remains is to put the wing on. So let's do it. And we will have a completed iron belly. And just like last time, we have the 2 little support studs. There we go. And there's the other. And voila. Yeah. Attached one little part wrong. Let me fix it real quick, or else this wing isn't going to articulate right. There we go. So now, just like last time, it can fold out and stretch. Yeah, very nice. Okay, so that means that it is once again time to attach it to the dragon. There we go. Get rid of my 2 tiny little extra pieces from this bag. And there it is in all of its glory, the iron belly. Yeah, I think this is really sizable. I think it ends up looking really nice. I'll just show you what it looks like. It says, attach your Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, and Hermione Granger minifigures to the dragon's back and help them escape from Gringotts. You know what? We're going to do that very thing right now. that very thing. And I see now why they included some of these. Almost as handholds. At least this is what they're showing anyway. Because you can see that you can take Harry and attach his hand there. And then you've got Ron. I have to change out his wand hand to have it like what they're showing. I would have to see a reference photo from the movie to know exactly how everybody's situated, I guess, in this situation. All right, you see it has a little handhold right there, the gray. Okay. And then Hermione gets the little gray handhold on the other side, so Harry almost has to kind of... Yeah, that could be a problem. I think I need to put Hermione first in her Bellatrix outfit. There we go. So I kind of need to put her kind of down. That way it leaves some room for Harry. There we go. Okay, and then yes, indeed, you can have all three of them escaping from Gringotts. And I think that's really important because it means that the scale is right, you know, that this actually is accurate to what it ought to be for the movie. And it means you can recreate some of the principal action from that scene. So I think all of that's very important. I think it works out really well here. So looks good. Looks really good. I think I'm going to keep the trio over here on the Iron Belly. And then, let's see if the directions say anything else about how to attach it or where to put it. It doesn't show anything. My feeling is that, because that ends book 2 right there. My feeling is that, of course, you know, at the end of it, I mean, obviously, you can put them on top of Gringotts like it is in the movie. But my other feeling is that if you wanted to, and I'm sure that they'll show this as an alternative option here, is that I think you could pretty easily connect to this chain link down here to kind of, you know, be the spot where he's chained up down here. Or she. I have no idea how this works. Yeah, I think that looks good too, just, you know, in context. Ooh, he's a little front heavy, I've noticed. So you do have to kind of get it to rear up. And Harry, his handhold isn't as secure as Ron and Hermione's. But I think that the size works out well. I think it makes sense from what we see in the movie. Let's see if I can get it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that ends up looking really nice. There it is in context for the subterranean area. But it's getting a little late, and I think for my viewers it must have gotten a little late. Got a little quiet. So I guess that this would probably be a good time just to cut it off. And then I'd say that, honestly, this might be the lesser, you know, exciting kind of thing, the gift with purchase, because we've seen the builds before over here, so I may build that off camera and just have it on there that next time, because you've kind of seen that process. Anyway, friends, I'll go ahead and get off here, and next time we will actually start building Gringotts proper. So that's going to be very, very exciting. I can't wait to build the bank. All right, friends, God bless. Take care.